Drage dame, drage mame, z nami nikdar niste same. In danes, prva oddaja v sezoni, lahko povem, da imamo vedno v rokavu kakšno presenečenje. First show of the Mama Maria new season brings a bit of refreshment. English language, yes. Mama Maria goes international. And I'm really honored to introduce our first guest. It's Professor Dr. Jožef Haller, doctor for anxiety, if I might say. A little bit populistic, but still. You, a member of Academia Europaea, who has the most interesting areas of expertise. Behavior neuroscience, neurobiology of aggression and anxiety, stress physiology, and you devoted years of scientific research to develop anti-anxiety dietary supplements based on scientific evidence. Wow, this sounds really spectacular. And what have you discovered?
In which respect? Related to echinacea or in general?
Well, in general would be interesting to hear.
I think my main field is aggression research.
Okay.
I started when I was still a student at the university. And I think that's the field where I made the most. Okay. I developed methods of studying psychopathological aggression in human psychopathological aggression in animals. I made steps towards understanding the neurobiology of abnormal aggression, which is different from the normal aggression. Mm-hmm. And actually, cannabinoids came into my view pretty late, about 20 years ago. You know, I'm old. 20 years ago was just now. And I tried to escape from aggression. You know, it occupied all my life, and I said I need to know something more. And the cannabinoid system by that time was pretty interesting, mm-hmm. and it was in its initial phases, but it was clear that it will have a wonderful career in science at least, and probably in our life as well. So then I made an agreement with one of my colleagues, who actually is the president of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences right now. By that time, he was leading a department, I was leading another one. And then we made an agreement that we will study cannabinoids, and we did well. I mean, there were several, I would say, important discoveries in this field, both on his side, on my side, and the both of us together. And developing an anxiolytic was not a purpose. I mean, we were studying basic science, you know.
Okay.
We wanted to understand how the brain works. And within the brain, how cannabinoids, what's the role of endocannabinoids, you know? Which
is perfect, because right now they are really popular in all the aspects of our lives. So can you explain a bit?
Yeah, so what happened was that we realized for the first time that the CB1 cannabinoid receptors are directly involved in anxiety. And then by accident I came across a paper published by a German research group who showed that alkamides from echinacea bind to the CB2 receptor. The CB1 receptor is in the brain, mm-hmm. controls emotions. The CB2 receptor is in the body and controls immune responses. And this German group worked in the area of immunity. And they were very much interested in the CB2 receptor, you know, because that's related to immunity. But they measured many things. And in one little table, they showed that the alkamides also bind to the CB1 receptor.
Which is really interesting for you.
Absolutely, because then we worked with all kinds of chemicals, and we had a very promising or potentially interesting compound in a plant. And
a plant that we know so very well, Echinacea echinacea, which is actually really, really famous for the response of the immune system.
Absolutely.
But now that's a different story. That's anxiety.
Yeah, in the 19th century, it was the antibiotic of the era. You know, before antibiotics were discovered, for everything, every bacterial infection, people got echinacea.
That's nice.
That was changed after 1936, when the antibiotics were discovered. And we found this very interesting. And I was asked once, why didn't discover people that echinacea was anxiolytic when we used echinacea for centuries? And then I have two answers to this.
Okay.
One answer is that this is a very special kind of echinacea.
Aha, so not all echinacea is the same.
About 5%, no. Echinacea have a constituent called echinacoside,
Okay.
which is related to immunity, and it has alkamides, and there are about 20-25 types of alkamides, and every single place where echinacea is cultivated, grown, has a very specific alkamide profile.
Oh, interesting.
And only one specific profile is related to anxiety. This is one answer. The second is that when you have a cold, let's see, and you are cured, then you feel happy.
Of course.
Cold is gone, you know? And you would never think that you get rid of the cold because this plant made you less anxious. You feel happy because
You got rid of cold, so that's a normal consequence of being healthy. But perhaps, that's an
also
interesting discovery. And a very simple one. Why are all the big things always so simple?
yeah.
Or are they? You did the research, or you did the numbers and the studies and chemistry?
When you do research for, let's say, 10 years, because we studied echinacea for at least 10 years, and we are still studying it, then everything is complicated. But when you tell the results are not that complicated. It's a very simple thing. The endocannabinoid system is invented to help you cope with problems.
It exists in our bodies, right?
Okay. Yeah. Endocannabinoids are secreted in the brain. And the whole humanity had problems since its inception. And even in the animal kingdom, problems occur on an everyday basis, you know? And then the organism, evolution, or God, or whatever you want to believe in, invented endocannabinoids to help you cope with these problems. This is what we discovered, actually, while studying endocannabinoid neurotransmissions or endocannabinoid signaling, because this is what is preferred, the term. And then what we discovered again was that these alkamides in echinacea can help the endocannabinoid system to work properly.
Nice.
The endocannabinoids help us, echinacea helps the endocannabinoids. So this is the circle.
This is the circle. Echinacea helps us
Yes.
in fixing the anxiety, because anxiety is so, I shall not say popular because that is not the right word, but it's ever flowing throughout humanity, throughout our everyday, knowing it or not. And stress is always here as this aggressor, which we, once again, know it or not, or are aware of it or not. So what would be your solution?
To anxiety?
Yes.
Well, it depends. Because if you have a full-blown anxiety, you should go to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist would decide what to do with you.
Okay.
But
Fair
if you have a problem in your life, if you have something that is not reaching the level of a diagnosis, then you should do something else. You could go walking on the beach, you can go exercising, you can go with your friends to drink a beer, you can do many things. If those don't work, you need something more serious. There are several herbal cures for this type of sub-threshold anxiety, and I think that echinacea is one of these cures. We know from drug studies that there is no single drug which would treat successfully everybody, not even Xanax. Xanax is a very powerful anxiolytic, but it treats about 2/3 of the patients well. Then if we,
That's not that much.
well,
As
this
it
is what
popular.
happens. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And then if it doesn't work with you, you go for something else. And I would suggest that this is the case with echinacea. We have seen in our studies that about 2/3, about 60-70% of the people show a strong reaction. I mean, this anxiety problem, which is not actually, it's not a disease, not a diagnosis. This anxiety problem would decrease strongly in 2/3. There is 1/3 which would, but let's say, would give some kind of a response, but not a maximal response. Okay. Those should try something else. Okay. And it's the other way around. If you try one treatment and it doesn't work with you, then you should try echinacea. And maybe it works for you.
Yes, it cannot hurt, I believe. And
no.
You know what else cannot hurt? Our special time, rubrika Mama pomagaj. Mama pomagaj je rubrika, kjer odgovarjamo direktno na vaše vprašanja. So help me mama, direct question from our viewers. They actually explored and they found this drug. It's not actually drug, it's a herbal extract food supplement called Anxio-free. And she says, I've been taking Anxio-free for some time now, but apart from less anxiety, I can also report some good effect it has on my sleep. Could that be somehow connected?
Yeah, absolutely, because why don't you sleep well? Because you have a troublesome day, isn't it?
Yes.
If you are anxious all day long, then when you try to sleep, your problems wake you up.
Of course.
You are very sleepy, your eyes are closing, and then a problem pops up and your eyes open up immediately. And then if anxiety is decreased, then you sleep better.
Oh, of course, because there was a line, if you worry about the past, you're constantly not present. If you worry about the future, you're constantly anxious. So worrying about the future and anti-anxiety can be of some, actually, relation. Okay, people have many ways of dealing with uncertainty, but mostly there's still some misinformation about it all. What do we do when walks in nature and meditation and everything simply aren't enough?
Well, I would say that there are grades of treatment. Mm-hmm. At the lowest level is try to normalize your life. Uh-huh. To decrease workload, to try to sleep better, make peace with your wife, or whatever, you know.
Get a pet, get a dog, do something, join a dance class.
If it doesn't work, then you should try something more serious. And I would say that nutraceuticals, food supplements, is a good option. And if that doesn't work, go to a psychiatrist. Okay. This food supplement is not to replace psychiatrist, is to decrease the burden. Mm-hmm. Because, for instance, these anxiety problems, which are not serious problems, can lead to serious anxiety disorders.
If they last a long time, right?
Yeah.
So for a normal living being like myself, which has some problems in increased anxiety times, might be a bit harder on myself, or some, let's say, dynamic life situations, like someone close to us passes, or some restructuration in the family life, or actually some good stress, like buying a new house. That could be a good thing, but still it causes stress, right?
Yeah, you have lots of things to do when you buy a new house.
I imagine. I don't know, but yes, I imagine.
You struggle a lot.
So like food supplements can be of great help, you say?
Yeah, it prevents developing a serious disorder. Depression is also based on small anxieties, you know? Mm-hmm. And by preventing the development of the disorder, you ease the job of psychiatrists. They still have jobs.
Of course. Okay, but enough with the jobs. I can just ask you for the final question. What is your prediction, your foresight for the future? You have a lot of work to do, right? Being involved in all those researches and lectures.
Yeah, my own personal future is bright.
Great.
Because if it's not, I take echinacea.
Echinacea.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for being such a lovely guest. And also, I wish you all the best, not only between the roses, but both in private and in work life. We still need you, so take care.
Thank you very much.
Jaz pa tudi vam želim enako, da se imate dobro, da ste v rožcah, ampak v njih ta pravih, v ehinaceji in saj veste, da vas rada imam, čeprav vseh ne poznam. Do naslednjič se dobro mejte. Čau!